Hi everyone, it's already day 6 in our Advent of Rust adventure. We're still building a web API in Rust, and today we are going to cover crates, which are external dependencies in Rust. So you can see that as a node module for Node or a gem for Ruby, for instance. So let's dive into the code. The first thing we need to do is to add this external dependency, which will be basically our web framework. So in Rust, there are a lot of different crates to do that, but one of the most famous one is maybe actix. So you can go to actix.rs and it will explain what it is this crate. You can have a look at the documentation where we can see how to define a web server. So this is what we are going to use today. Remember, cargo is our best friend when you want to write Rust. So by doing cargo add actix-web, which is the name of the crate, you type enter and boom, now we have installed our crates. If we go back to our cargo toml file, you can see that a new dependency has been automatically added for you. The latest version has been used. It's 4.4.0. It might differ. It might be different for you if you're not seeing this video currently. It might be higher. Now we are going to use this dependency. So first thing we need to do is to remove everything and create an HTTP server, which is gonna be HTTP server.new. In the documentation of this, we are going to use a closure. So a closure is like an anonymous function. So it's declared like this, and it's going to be app.new. Once again, feel free to check the documentation of this crate if you're not too sure what's happening here. The next step would be to bind this HTTP server to a specific port. Fortunately, we already have a function to retrieve the port, so that's going to be super helpful. So binding info would be tuple, which is our localhost API, localhost IP, sorry, and the get port. Remember, we need to pass the environment variable for that. It's called port. And then we can do HTTP server dot bind with our binding info. We need to import this. So let's import app for actix.web. And our binding info, if you look at the type, it's accepting a tuple of string and unsigned int in a 16-byte format. So instead of having I32 here, we need U16. Let's modify that. And of course, since we have unit testing, we can double check that by changing the type of that has no impact on the features. So it looks like everything looks good. So remember, having a valid unit test is really helpful to do stuff like that. If we have a look at the results of this binding info, we can see that it's actually, let me type this. It's returning results. So we need to match this. So let's go match, and it has two kind of enum type. Either it's okay with the server, and we can do something, or it's an error. We don't care about the error type, and maybe we can print impossible to bind the server. Maybe the port has already been used or something like that. If the server is okay, what we can do is to run it. So we can do server.run. And since it's going to be like a long running process, it's going to be asynchronous as well. So we need a wait keyword. So, and if we're using a wait, our function needs to be asynchronous as well. So sorry, remember, if we want to use a wait keyword, we need the async one. So cool, that's great. But in Rust, there is no way of, it's not possible to have a async main function. You need an async runtime. So you can use Tokyo, for instance, but here on the actix-web crate, we have something which is called actix-web.main. It's a macro directly imported for us. And we can see that this macro expects to have like a result type, and our main function is not returning a result type. So we can return a result here. And first parameter is this strange annotation. It's literally meaning a void. We don't return anything, but remember the result needs to have two different types, the returning type and an error type. So the first one will be just like a void, and the second one would be an error. So that's great. Now it seems that we need to print it if the binding is not possible, but we would also need to return again the error. So we can print it and use the error as a return. So by doing this, what we've done is let's create an HTTP server. We bind it to the port that we passed as an environment variable, or we take a default value. Then we try to bind it. If it's working, we are just going to run it and await it. But if there is an error, maybe we want to print something and rethrow the error. So the results will be void if everything looks good, or an error, for instance, if something has been wrong with the binding. So that's cool. Obviously, our server is not doing anything right now. We need to add some routes. So maybe the first route would be get function. It's going to be asynchronous, going to be a function. The get would be around, let's say, /pizza. And our sync function will be named get pizza. It will return an HTTP response. And we can build an HTTP response for the OK status code, maybe with a body. This is /pizza endpoint. So that's great. We know I've created what we call a service function. So the application can now use this service. It's going to be get pizza. So great. It's a lot of information, I know, but once again, let's go through the code again. So main function has to be asynchronous because we are going to use some asynchronous code with the await keyword. So don't forget that we need this async keyword. Since it's async, we need some specific stuff around the main function to say, hey, we are allowing the main function to be async. We are returning a result. Remember, yesterday we saw what the result type is. We are trying to bind it. If it's already bind, maybe we want to print an error. And finally, let's have a look at what's happening if we run it. So if we run it, now the Mac is asking, hey, do you want to accept incoming network connection? Remember, we are opening a port. So let's allow that. I can create a new terminal. And I can curl HTTP localhost /get /pizza, sorry. And this is the /pizza endpoint. So that's great. Let's try to run again this. And now, I need to be in the pizza API. If I run it, now I have an issue, impossible to bind the server. So this is the error, and the error is address already in use. So once again, as soon as we have a function which is returning a result, you need to use a match. So there is a better way to write this, but this is for tomorrow. So have a good day and see you tomorrow.